Hello and welcome to Disc Review. This is the show where we typically go through a different album every week, track by track, talk about the good and the bad, but today we have something a little bit different. We have Braden Barrie here of SayWeCanFly, and we're super excited to have you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I love your show, so it's cool to be on here.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly cool for us because we are huge fans. I mean, Matt, I don't know if you want to maybe explain how, because you kind of got us into his music.
Yeah, I mean, I was 16, going to a Set It Off concert, and I mean, there was four openers, and it was crazy how much you stood out when you performed live. I was just hooked, and I just told all my friends, including Max. I was like, you got to listen to this guy. And it's been great just seeing all the ways you've changed your style a little bit, and like just your insane talent's been great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was when I played full band, I think, probably, right?
Yeah, there were some
That
other
show.
guys. Yeah.
So before we get into any of the other questions, I wanted to, today, I think you posted about Autotune, and I was like, oh, finally someone is saying what people actually need to hear about Autotune. You were like showing pitch correction and stuff. I can't believe how many people don't understand that and get it totally mixed up. Do you get a lot of people saying like, oh, like you use too much Autotune or like stuff like that?
Probably not as many as I think, but you know how you read comments and you only kind of pick out the bad ones almost sometimes. So no, I don't know. I guess there have been some people that have kind of said oh, I miss when you didn't use Autotune or stuff like that. But I think it's just when I started producing my own stuff, it's just the sound was a bit different, and it took me a while to even be able to do pitch correction properly. I'm still learning, but yeah, I just like to kind of show people who aren't musicians or whatever, just kind of the process, because I always like when I don't know about something and somebody kind of explains it or gives a behind the scenes look. I think it's just cool. So.
And so you have a new song coming out tomorrow, which is the first of the EP that you're releasing. Do you want to maybe walk us through that and kind of what the sound is going to be like?
Yeah, so this EP is it's kind of like emo rap. It's kind of in the vein of the Nosebleed EP a little bit, but it's also got I mean, all the songs have drops too, EDM drops. So I had written these songs a long time ago, probably a year and a half ago, just to, because that label Life or Death that I'm releasing this, they wanted another emo rap EP. So I was trying to it just wasn't flowing very well. So anyway, I just ended up sending the tracks to my friend who his name is John. He's in a project called Sunday Friend. So he kind of did a lot of the EDM production on these, and it's just a really cool collab, and it's just been kind of a fun project. And I've been kind of in the meantime just studying EDM production myself and working on a whole bunch of other stuff, because I'm always at least an album or two ahead, which is kind of frustrating. I just always have a backlog, so I'm trying to chill on that and just enjoy the releases instead of working on new stuff when I don't need to. But yeah, it should be cool. Hopefully people like it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Nosebleed EP, so more of that sounds great. And I'm a
Thanks,
big fan of the EDM collabs too. Are you reaching out to people to do that, or are they reaching out to you? How does that process work?
Honestly, most of it has just been people reaching out. I think just it seems like a pretty small world, so I think people have just kind of been hearing stuff and checking out my music, which is amazing. There have been a couple people that I've just reached out to, and they've been really open and just sent me an instrumental, and so it's kind of both, But yeah, it's really nice to be kind of getting into that world, because it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and everyone's been so it's such a supportive world. It kind of feels so. Yeah, it's been really cool to work with those guys.
Yeah, you mentioned that you kind of have a backlog going right now. So what keeps you from releasing the next full length?
I think it's just time. So as the next full length, I'm going to be self-releasing. So this label that I'm with, I just need to fulfill my term with them and give them this record. And yeah, so I've just kind of been sitting on it, and then I have all these EDM collabs that are going to probably come out in the meantime. But I think it's just because I make so much music at once a lot of the time. Because you kind of need at least 6 months probably for a record cycle. At least nowadays, people always want to do singles and whatnot. So it's within that time frame, I make so many new songs, and So I'm trying to slow down a bit because it is hard sometimes, like when the songs actually come out, to like sink into them and not just like not just be like, oh, that's old now, and just want to show everyone the new stuff. So
Yeah, and you've gone through quite a few different genres, and the things you release, you're keeping it fresh, which we both really appreciate. We know that with that though can come some backlash sometimes. Has your like the stuff that's been more emo rap, has that been well received by your fan base? Do they wish you did more of one thing or the other?
honestly, for the most part, like it kind of seems like the core people that listen to my music have always just been like supportive of whatever I do. I think as long as I like, put my heart into it and like try to make it as, I don't know, genuine as possible, everyone's like pretty supportive and just like down for that. I mean, obviously there's the people that just like, you know, even for me, it's like some of my favorite artists, I just listen to like their old acoustic stuff or whatever. It's, but I think I always try to maintain some kind of integrity in this, even if I change some sounds, like just keep some of the same elements. Because it really makes me sad sometimes when like I have bands that I grew up listening to and then they go like completely off, like, and don't maintain anything, and then you just kind of lose that connection. So I've always tried to maintain some kind of consistency for people, and yeah, hopefully they feel that, I guess.
Always around Christmas time, I always look forward to getting more Christmas music for you. You've done some cool stuff there. How did you get involved on the film Cup of Cheer? I was always interested behind the story behind that.
Oh yeah. Sorry that if you've seen that movie. It's a lot to
I have not, but I've
to
listened
take
to
in.
this
But yeah,
music.
honestly, man, it was like super random. It was just like the town that I happened to be living in at the time. Like, my mom sent me a Facebook post being like, "Hey, there's some auditions going on at this little like hall, town hall or whatever." And I emailed them and didn't hear anything back, so I didn't know anything about what it was. So I prepared this like dark monologue because I was like, well, they probably just want to see something. And then I get there and it's like, oh, it's a Christmas comedy, and everyone else has a script and I don't have anything. I'm like, oh, okay. So I actually almost left because I was just like so nervous and like, oh, this is pointless. But I like read a scene for them and I walked out, and then they're like, yo, can you actually come back in? And just kind of went from there, and I did another scene, and yeah, I don't know, just super random. And then me and the director Jake have just become really close friends now, and he let me do the score and work on some of his other stuff. So it's just one of those things, like right place, right time, and just facing the anxiety, I guess.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I mean, to go from music to movies to you also have, I noticed that you had a podcast as well. And I watched a few of those, and you have your merch, or not your merch, but your clothing line.
Yeah.
How did you get into making clothes?
Honestly, man, I've just always I've always had a hard time like finding clothes that I really like at stores and stuff, and I don't know why that is. So I just literally kind of wanted to design stuff that I could wear, like, for the most part. And I just always kind of had a passion for it too, like just like aesthetic and trying to make things like aesthetically pleasing. And yeah, I mean, I love like e-commerce too. Like, I kind of studied like drop shipping and all that stuff, and I just kind of like love that kind of thing. So it's a good challenge for me, and I have a great like team too, and it's something else to kind of creatively express myself, and kind of separate from Say We Can Fly a little bit. So yeah, I've just always loved merch and thought it was a really interesting, fun world. So
Yeah, one thing I've always been impressed by is your music production. What do you recommend to people who want to learn music production? Like, are you entirely self-taught, and how did you learn?
well, I'm self-taught from YouTube, so I mean, other people taught me, but I've honestly been just spending out like hours and hours watching tutorials. Like, that's how I learn pretty much everything, because there's just so many great producers and people that just like share what they're doing. And I mean, part of it is like being in the studio or just like doing stuff. You just learn as you go. So like, I'm always learning new things like as I make music. But most part, man, YouTube college. Like, there's so much amazing free knowledge on there. So
Oh, well, that's good to know.
yeah.
Yeah, Matt and I both make music as well, and we don't go to a studio or anything. We just do it by ourselves, and we've found that YouTube is pretty much the only way to go. And then from there, you kind of just gotta do trial and error, and you have a lot of bad songs at first and
Yeah.
bad mixes, and it slowly gets a little bit better. Do you mix your own songs, or do you outsource that?
For the most part, I mix them. I mean, there's some tracks that I outsource, and like the new EDM stuff I'm working on, I'm probably gonna outsource, just because it's not like my forte. But for the most part, I do a lot of the mixes, especially just on like the acoustic stuff, because I've always, kind of, I guess, this is a whole other kind of topic, but like the mixing part is very visual. Like I just always want to take people to like a certain place, I guess. So, like, reverbs and stuff, I'm very like precise about like what I'm using, and it's kind of hard to convey that to someone else. So that's, with certain songs, I just really want to be like super ethereal, like atmospheric. So I do a lot of it on my own for that reason. So
Yeah, I noticed that you do have quite a few tracks that are mainly atmospheric, and I think that just adds so much to a record. And I wish that more artists would do that, because an album or an EP shouldn't just be, a collection of songs. It should be a feeling and an emotion that comes through, and you can experience the whole thing together. And I think that that's something, especially on your Beautiful Mess album, that we've both really enjoyed, is how it takes you so many different places, but it all kind of feels cohesive. There's instruments that you wouldn't expect in there, and so I think that, like, yeah, more of that is, at least for our taste, is awesome. It's perfect.
yeah, man, that was part of why I loved listening to your review of that record, because it was like, man, like, you actually like understood what I was doing. And because I've just always loved that like kind of storytelling, like using records to do that. And like if I could just be making films all the time or something, then I would totally be doing that. Like I feel like I use music to kind of do that, because it's not so easy to just like make a movie or something like. But so I just always want to try to take people on that kind of journey. But I've always thought that too. It's like I've never just written like 40 songs and picked like 10 or something. I always like write it as a piece, And anytime I don't do that, it's like never as good. So I find anyway. So.
Well, what got you into music in the first place?
I mean, it's kind of like a typical like, musician answer, but I was just like not a happy kid. Like, didn't have that many friends. Just, didn't have a lot going on with my personal life, and my home life was a bit like rough, and I don't know. I just didn't have a lot of security or like feel like I belonged really anywhere when I was younger. So, I guess, I mean, it wasn't really like playing at first, it was just like listening to music at first, like. Old stuff that I could relate to, like Never Shout Never and like Chase Coy and, whatever else I listened to. Like, I don't know, just something about somebody just singing about their pain. Like, I was like, oh, this is really helping. And then I started to like, I picked up guitar because one of my teachers used to come in and play a song every Friday on acoustic, and I just like loved it so much. So I just saved up to get like $100 acoustic and started trying to learn songs and play. And it was just like the one constant I think I had in my life. So I just always stuck close to it.
Yeah, well, I bet you're gonna do that for some other artists. Your music's doing that same thing for people who need it, and it's been, you see with your fans. I know that's something they've said a lot. It's really cool. But yeah, you talked about instruments. I've been loving the banjo. That seems kind of new. Is that something you're gonna keep around? I'm liking it.
Thanks, man. I actually got it because I worked on the guys that did Cup of Cheer. They just made a TV series, so I worked on the score, and I wanted to do like a whole banjo score. So that's why I got it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's such a great instrument for like layering on top of choruses and stuff. It's just got such a nice texture. So I'll probably use it for some other stuff. Throw it in.
Yeah, that the banjo and like all the instruments that you threw onto tracks like Daisy Do, I felt like that track specifically was so unique. It's incredible how any direction you take it, we're interested in following. Like if you were to go off and do some totally different genre, we would still be interested, because you're good at writing songs, right? It's not just one genre and one mold. So do you think there's any other genres that you think you're gonna go off into at some point?
I don't know. I mean, I'd actually really like to do like a metalcore EP at some point, or just even a couple songs. Some really heavy stuff, because I listened to a lot of that growing up. And yeah, I don't know. I wrote a country song with one of my friends a while back, and like I really enjoyed writing it, and I like a lot of the elements of it. I don't think I'd actually like do like a country record, but yeah, I think like the heavy stuff I'd like to probably try, next if I was just gonna have fun with something.
I would love that. I'm super into heavy stuff, so that would be super cool. There's probably a lot of crossover too of fans that like your stuff and fans that like heavy stuff just because of the bands you've toured with. Have you kind of seen that?
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, people love like both sides of that spectrum a lot of the time, which is really cool. Yeah.
So you are planning on going independent after you finish what you're doing with this record label. Is that kind of the plan from here on out? You're just going to be an independent artist, or you're going to eventually look for some other record labels?
I think it depends like on the project. Like, I mean, I've only ever done like deals for just like a couple EPs or like a couple albums at a time. Like, so I've never like found a person that's like, oh, this is my like forever label partner or whatever. But yeah, I'm like always open to if people want to discuss things or are interested, you know. But I just I always try to kind of like use that as a fallback and make sure like I can self-release stuff if I need to. And for the most part, I found like, I mean, you know, it's not to say labels, you know, don't do anything, but for the most part, I think you can do a lot of the things that labels do, especially when it just comes to like, you know, online stuff or social media or album promo. So yeah. So yeah, we'll see, I guess, but that's the plan for now.
Yeah, especially with the way the internet is now. Like a lot of the things that artists just couldn't do by themselves, marketing and stuff, it can be done. It's a lot of work. So I really hope that it takes you far and that you're able to do a lot with that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot to keep up on, but like I have a pretty good team of people that help me with that stuff. And yeah, because I mean, I used to be so on top of social media and marketing and whatever, but it's just I lapsed for like maybe 4 years. I didn't learn anything, and it just changed so much. So now I'm trying to like refigure it out again.
I saw on Instagram you were going to be announcing tour dates soon. Is there anything you can say about a tour? Is it going to be a big one, or?
I don't have like the full dates yet, but as far as I know, we'll be announcing it like soon, whatever that means.
No worries.
So
Yeah, we were thinking next time you come out with some tour dates, maybe we would meet up and try to go to one of your shows. I've actually never seen you play live. I went to a Warped Tour that you were playing at, but as a kid, I was, you know, really tuned into that heavy stuff. So I was probably watching some other band, but I would love to see you live. Do you enjoy playing live? I know a lot of artists don't like touring. They don't like live. They kind of wish they could just stay in a bubble. Do you enjoy that part of being an artist?
yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, it's kind of depended where I'm at in my life or like what my headspace is, because you know, at least for me, I'm a very like at the core like pretty introverted person. I like have a lot of anxiety like for no reason all the time, and you know, it's a lot like when you're touring to like just deal with that all the time. Like as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot better at it. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to like get in your head when you're on the road and just like wish you were at home. But I've kind of learned like the grass is always greener. Like, you know, I'll miss being on the road when I'm home, and I'll miss being home when I'm out there. So I just really try to like appreciate it and like just look at it like it's my job, and I just want to like create a good experience for everyone there. So yeah, I definitely do enjoy it. I think when I'm not like comfortable on stage, which is usually just due to my own like headspace or whatever, that's when I struggle with it. But I try to prepare for it and like just go into it with a different mindset, you know, because I'm just like very self-conscious, very like self-critical and stuff. So trying to like let that go and just enjoy it more.
Oh, I loved watching you live. Your voice just like echoes in just a really impressive way. Like I couldn't believe how good of a singer you were. But I remember during that show you had us, you know, you told us what to chant for Intoxicated I Love You, and I know like for me and the rest of the crowd, we just really loved that. Like, are there any songs you write purposefully that you think would be fun live and have interaction like that?
I've never written a song for that reason. I mean, even to do that was so hard, man, because I've never been the kind of person that's like, yo, what's up, Denver? You know, like run out there and like, so I mean, yeah, no, I never think about doing stuff like that. But yeah, that was fun. Definitely was fun with the full band.
At what point did you feel like it was working, like you were becoming an artist that people actually wanted to listen to? Was it when you started releasing like Intoxicated I Love You? Because I know that one, you know, kind of blew up for you and was a huge song.
I'm trying to think. I think it was like kind of while I was in high school still, like I would go like after, like literally every night after school pretty much. Once I started posting demos and whatever on YouTube, I would just go and like get on social media and talk to people, reply to literally everything. And I think by the end of high school, it wasn't even necessarily when I was releasing that, it was like probably a little bit before with like Dandelion Necklace EP and stuff. Just I had, you know, I made like $50 on iTunes that month, and I was like so excited, you know, like, so that I think was enough for me to be like, okay, like keep doing it, keep going. But once I started kind of like talk to, like, you know, some of the bands that I had listened to would reach out, or like someone I really idolized or whatever would reach out, like those little moments were always enough for me to be like, all right, this is all I'm gonna do, like, you know. So I think I just kind of always decided it was gonna be what I do no matter what. But yeah, I don't really know when it exactly picked up, but I just remember there was one day when I was just walking home, and I lived at like my grandma's like apartment, like little tiny place, and didn't know what I was doing. But yeah, I just was getting all these likes on Facebook, and like just, I don't know, something just happened, and it just got like hundreds of thousands of likes, and I was like, okay, I guess, you know. And I think it was after that I started, like I went to record that EP and stuff. So it's hard to remember, man. It feels like so long ago now, but something happened and it just worked out somehow. So really thankful though, for sure.
Yeah, you said you're like a big fan of film. Like, are music videos fun for you then? What's your experience with making music videos?
I find now, like, for some reason, more than I used to, I struggle with like ideas, because I think a lot of times I let logistics kind of stop me. Like when I'm thinking of stuff, I'm like, oh, well, it'd be really hard to do that or whatever. Because I've always just been one to, like, you know, shoot with just one of my best friends, and then like I do all the editing and like all that stuff. So I've never been like, you know, put a massive budget to a music video or something. So I'm always kind of thinking like, how could we make this for like next to nothing, or just like do it ourselves. So but I love doing it. Like, you know, once I create the story and stuff, like editing is one of my favorite things ever. So I really love it. Yeah.
So you come up with all the storylines and what you're going to see yourself then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it ever get kind of, you know, like overwhelming with all the stuff that you do? I mean, you do the music videos, the songwriting, the production, the mixing.
I think, I mean, when I'm actually doing those things, like, I love it, and it never feels like work, like, when I'm actually doing it. But I think sometimes, like, when I'm not doing it, I'm thinking about, like, what I should be doing, or, like, what I'm not doing. That's when it gets overwhelming, because I'm like, oh, I should be doing more, or whatever. But, no, the actual workload of it isn't overwhelming, because I enjoy it.
Just out of curiosity, what DAW do you use to record?
I use Logic. I use Logic
okay.
For a long
That's
time.
what I use as well. What's your favorite plugin for vocals?
CLA Vocals is my favorite plugin. I don't know if you've ever used it, but
I haven't.
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where it almost feels like cheating, because it just makes your vocal sound so amazing. And yeah, I mean, I got it back in 2016, I think, and I use it on my chain like ever since, on literally everything. I even have it on right now, like running my voice through. So and then for reverb is Valhalla Vintage Verb is what I use. So
this has been great. Thank you for joining us today. I don't think you can really fathom how cool it is for a couple kids like us to be able to actually talk with and interview someone that we've been listening to for so long. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it, and I love being able to talk about these things. So really, it means a lot.
Well, we hope that you have a good day, and we'll continue the dialogue and make sure that we're always supporting you. We hope that the song that releases later tonight, when this comes out, it'll already be released. So anyone listening, go please stream the new song. What's it called again?
It's called Skeleton Heart.
Skeleton Heart. Go stream Skeleton Heart. We'll link it below, so check that out. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Alrighty, we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
All right, boys. Have a good one.